Most roofing repairs cost less than $500. Why? Because we find the cause of the leak and repair that leak. We won't try to sell you services you don't need.
And we'll fix it right away because everything we need is in our truck.
Don't put off fixing a leaky roof. Call me at Tejas Roofing and I'll send over the truck. 281-251-0304. When you think of roofing repairs or a new roof, think Tejas Roofing, your Houston roofing company. 281-251-0304. That's Tejas Roofing, 281-251-0304.
AM 700 KSEV, Tomball, Houston, and streaming online at ksevradio.com, the voice of Texas.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. There's a migrant crisis underway through the border separating Spain's Ceuta from Morocco.
Spain has deployed the military to Ceuta after thousands of people breached the border with Morocco. At least 9 people have died. A member of Spain's civil guards officers says it's absolute chaos. Video footage shows crowds of people, mainly Moroccans, in the water, many with inflatables at a local beach, walking onto the land. A human rights official says the Tarajal border was opened under unusual circumstances and people crossed. This man, Salad, crossed the border.
We don't have a good life in Morocco. We don't have a good medicine.
To reach Ceuta, located on the northern African coast, many migrants often swim from Morocco. I'm Ed Donahue.
President Trump says generic drugs imported into the U.S. will face 0 tariffs for 2 years, starting August 1st, before a 100% levy takes effect in August 2028 and rises to 200% a year later. President Trump says before implementing his new policy, foreign drug makers would charge U.S. patients excessive prices for prescriptions.
A pill that sold for $10 in Germany would sell for $130 in New York. Same pill from the same company, the same factory, the same plant, same laboratory, from $10, and we pay $130. I say no.
Nearly all prescriptions in the U.S. are filled with generic drugs that often come via overseas manufacturing and involve complex ownership structures. Another good day on Wall Street with the Dow up by 276 points. The Nasdaq rose 251, with the S&P 500 advancing by 52 points. More at townhall.com.
Well, it's official. My friends have all switched to Pure Talk because I told them they could save a bunch of money on a super reliable high-speed network with unlimited data. And because they're my friends, they trust me. As for the rest of you, well, Pure Talk understands that even though you might like me, you're not just going to take my word for it, nor should you. For that reason, and for a very limited time, Pure Talk is offering any of their plans for just $15 a month for the first 3 months, including their top-tier unlimited plan that normally sells for $65 a month. Think of it like a test drive, a super simple way to save $150 while you kick the tires on Pure Talk's blazing fast network, and a fine way to see for yourself why I switched from big wireless, along with a few 100,000 of my closest friends. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and be connected to Pure Talk's friendly U.S. customer service team. Again, dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and let the savings begin.
A SpaceX rocket is on a collision course with the moon.
Space tracking experts say that on Wednesday, a drifting SpaceX rocket unintentionally will slam into the moon after launching 2 lunar landers more than a year ago. Space tracking expert Bill Gray says impact could be near Einstein Crater on the moon's sunlit western limb at 7 times the speed of sound. But scientists aren't too concerned about the piece of space junk as more and more items cram into orbit. The space crash is expected to happen in the wee hours Wednesday, and eastern parts of the U.S. and Canada, as well as much of South America, are expected to get the best views. I'm Donna Warder.
Anthropic says its AI models hacked into 3 organizations during testing. This comes just days after OpenAI said its AI models went rogue and hacked into another company. News and analysis at townhall.com. From Washington, I'm Keith Peters.
From the KSEV Weather Center, tonight will be mainly clear and humid with a low of 79. Tomorrow, expect very warm temperatures with sunshine occasionally obscured by clouds. The high will reach 96. Tomorrow night will be mostly cloudy and humid with a chance of a couple of showers and a thunderstorm. The low will be around 80. On Sunday, there might be a shower in some areas early in the morning. Otherwise, anticipate very warm weather with intervals of bright sunshine. The high will soar to 100. With the KSEV Weather Center forecast, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Jason Caterina.
Your smartphone is now your radio. All you need is a KSEV app. And with one click, you're listening to KSEV. Anytime, anywhere. No static, no boundaries. Go to the Android Marketplace or the iPhone App Store. Search KSEV. Select the KSEV app. It's free and it only takes a couple of minutes. Listen to KSEV. It's easy with the KSEV app. More details at ksevradio.com.
If you're looking to buy or sell a home and in need of the best realtors out there, look no further than the Ronnie and Kathy Matthews Group. They've instilled in each and every member of their team hard work and honest values. And believe me, it's paid off. They truly know the Houston market and what it takes to get a home sold quickly and at top dollar and how to get the best deal possible for your home purchase. They're employee-owned. They care about their clients, so they always go the extra mile to ensure each sale and purchase is seamless and smooth. The Ronnie and Kathy Matthews Group have been a top producing real estate team for over 2 decades. Call Ronnie and Kathy Matthews Group at 281-440-7900 or see for yourself and go online at thematthewsteam.com. That's thematthewsteam.com. They sell over 1,000 homes a year and they know every inch of the buying and selling market in Houston. Call Ronnie and Kathy Matthews Group. I chose them as my realtor. The Ronnie and Kathy Matthews Group, your realtors for life. 281-440-7900 or see for yourself online at thematthewsteam.com. That's thematthewsteam.com.
That's the Ronnie and Kathy Matthews Group, brokered by EXP.
One for each other and all for one. The three brave amigos are we.
Ándale, amigos.
Brother to brother and everyone, a brave amigo, and amigos forever will.
That's right, it's Amigos Forever here on the Voice of Texas. Thanks for joining us on a hot Friday summer drive home afternoon. You got the tax man, El Senador Paul Betancourt, at the helm, the soul man of the upcoming Struview, Ben Struzan, and the effervescent, ever-ready Judge Eric Andel is adios. He's gone. Hit your button.
I actually did reach out to him, and he's at Universal Studios.
Oh, he's at Universal Studios in L.A.?
He's got the Speed Pass going.
Oh, he's got a Speed Pass going.
So we're not sure we're going to hear from him or not. We'll see.
When?
Yeah.
You know, I did that at Florida, Ben. I went to Universal at their Epic Park.
Yeah, I did the same thing.
And they had 2 really good rides that we hit. One was the, oh, come on, Craig, the Dark Frankenstein. You don't know this? You don't know anything about, come on, Universal?
Did you do the Minions thing where it was like a simulator for the Minions?
Minions?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
it's
no,
very
actually,
cool.
The Harry Potter, the ride was stunningly good.
Yeah.
And the one in the Frankenstein, Monsters Unchained.
Yeah.
Ben, these are 2,000-pound robots that hold your cage up into the air. And they're 6-axis, so I used to sell these, but nothing as strong as this. And it would literally rotate the cage flat over, turn it, and as you would go through the episode, you were literally sometimes looking at the ceiling, sometimes looking at the floor, sometimes looking at the walls around you. It was literally these giant robots on an automated guide vehicle. It's really wild stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Of course, it's so very expensive now. I don't know people. I mean, it's
what do you think a family of 4 go to?
Just to get into Disney World, it's probably you can go buy those like a 3-day or something.
3-day tickets,
$700 or $800. Maybe.
Wow, that's talking about inflation. Wow,
it's very expensive now.
And speaking of inflation is ripping these polls apart, Ben. I mean, the Fox News poll this week.
We're talking about the statewide poll between
for Texas,
Talarico and Paxton, and also
then
Abbott.
And then there's a CNN poll underneath it that we should talk about. But do the top lines on the Texas poll. I've got it memorized if you
Yeah, I've got it right here. Let's see.
Well, Abbott was, by the way, only up by a point, over Gina Hinojosa, which was a stunner. But
this is the Fox News polls got Tallarico with the 3-point lead at this point. Of course, that's about a 2 or 3 point improvement from the last Fox poll. So you got to make, you can't compare Fox to CNN, but you can compare Fox to Fox and CNN to CNN. And then earlier in the week was the poll, what was that?
The 5-point poll.
Texas Public, TPOR, whatever that stands for.
I don't know who that stands for.
Yeah,
Texas what?
Texas Public Opinion Research.
All right, there we go. Okay.
And they did 1,000 roughly likely Texas voters, and they showed
that was 45-40.
45-40, and that's a 2-point increase from the last poll they did. So I kind of view it, Paul, as right now, the reason for this primarily is that Tallarico is spending a lot of money, and Paxton is not.
Well, Tallarico has money, and Paxton.
Well, that's one of the results. But I do think right now we're seeing the results of a lot of Tallarico advertising. I've seen the new one with him in the pickup, sort of the every Texan.
Whenever you're running. Everybody needs a pickup.
Did you catch the brand? Is it a Ram or a Ford?
Okay.
We need to check the
Craig,
brand.
We
need to check the brand.
A Ram or a Ford?
It's one of those two.
I
don't think he was dumb enough to drive a Toyota.
Yeah, right. I think it was a Ram.
Ram?
Bingo.
It's a Ram. Yeah, Ram.
Uncle Paul always. He's always right, always right.
So if Paxton wants to get in a pickup, it better be a Ford, an F-150.
Well, that's right, because the other brand is taken.
Yeah.
Now, back to the polls. What we're seeing here is the 5-point lead by Tallarico was up by a couple points. The Fox News poll was kind of narrowed, but there is a CNN poll that I think is underneath all this, which shows a just absolutely demonstrative off-the-chart shift for voters under 50. And what they looked at was Harriet Tenn's been carrying this for a while. He's been, he's the kind of left-leaning but good at center data pollster.
We've played his clips on this show a couple times because he's very good. Yeah.
Right, he's very good. But I think he's nailed a big shift. That 2 years ago, the under 50 voters went Democrat by just 2 points.
Mm-hmm.
They are now going Democrat by 46. And that is...
I find that hard to believe.
Oh, man, it's not hard to believe.
Is that nationwide? Or?
Nationwide. Okay. Now, it is an unbelievable shift, okay? I'll pull it up for you so you see it. And it just shows that there's a lot of downdraft, but the question is, of course, where is it located and why? And I think when you look at all this inflation, what group is it going to hurt the worst, Ben?
Above middle class, mainly people
middle class under 50, right?
Of course, fixed income actually suffers from people on fixed incomes, which is usually older people, suffer the worst from inflation.
Old people like you or Eric?
Well,
us or Eric?
People who are not working because they don't get inflation-adjusted returns. They typically, are on Social Security or other kind of.
Now, what's interesting, the over 50 vote has changed, but only by a few points. But the under 50 vote, that polling is even regardless of how. It would take an order of magnitude to change that number. It's a huge shift.
Right. Well, buried in one of these polls, either the Texas policy poll or the Fox poll, I read some commentary about how Republicans, there's still a group of Republicans that are not MAGA that will not support Paxton.
Right,
and
I think in the Fox News poll, Ben, they were claiming 24%.
I saw that's the number I saw.
Right, yeah.
And that's enough probably to tip an election in favor of a Democrat.
Well, of course it is. Right now, it's enough to tip a poll.
Yeah.
Okay. So if it continues, it's enough to tip an election.
Those voters have to come home and realize the stakes. And by the way, I'm going to remind everybody the stakes. Because our producer extraordinaire, Craig, is going to pull that clip I got from Kamala Harris from about 2 hours ago.
Oh, and wait a minute. How is she back?
Well, she's Okay, she's running, doing a sub-Rosa run for president as we speak. And in the polling, she is actually leading Democrat polling for the nomination for president for her party.
You mean over AOC and the burn?
Now, if they're stupid enough to nominate her, more power to them. But I want to remind that 24% of Republican non-MAGA voters out there what's at stake. So let's hear it from Kamala Harris. What's at stake?
We need to revisit the Electoral College. We need to revisit the point of expanding the court to 13 justices like we have 13 district courts.
Oh, we need 13.
The magic number.
Revisit, if they so want, statehood for Puerto Rico and D.C.
Yes.
If we regain control of the Senate.
Regain.
I served on this committee, the Senate Judiciary Committee, when I was in the Senate. Only the second black woman elected to the United States Senate after Carol Moseley Braun. And the Senate Judiciary Committee has the power to create rules for its committee that don't have to go to the whole Senate for a vote and worry about filibuster and all of that.
Don't worry.
We should demand, if we win back the Senate, that the Senate Judiciary Committee have the strength to put in place rules that would include, if a nominee for a federal court or the Supreme Court comes before them and starts lying,
that you
want
to
do, hold them in
Kamala?
contempt. If they refuse to give information for which the committee righteously requires, they think about accountability and consequence, and that those members of the Senate Judiciary Committee have the courage, because we require it, to hold people accountable.
All right, I can't stand it anymore.
I mean, my head just blew
I know.
I mean, it's like, oh my word.
Please get to the point.
Okay.
Anyway,
Kamala,
at the
in the
beginning,
afternoon,
all right.
whatever.
Anyway,
okay.
At the beginning, it was, let's see, statehood. Let's have 4 more Democrat senators. Let's get rid of the Electoral College.
4 more justices.
Yeah, 13 is the magic number. Is 13.
13.
Yes. So
and then this other deal that they have rules that they hold people in contempt.
Yeah,
I
right. So
understand.
so if you're going up for nomination, I guess you have to, I don't know, they can put you on the chair and use electrodes.
Boy, that listening to that was like being put on electrodes.
Of course, they would never use them on Fauci or anybody like that. But
and we of course we have to talk about Fauci, because he basically did what? He
took the fifth on everything.
111 times.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
I tell you what, we'll talk about it. Let's stay on this Kamala thing. Because I'm trying to remind the 24% of Republicans that don't want to support Paxton what you're going to get
with Kamala.
And if you get a Tallarico in the Senate, he will, I don't care what he says during the campaign, he will vote for the 4 senators from Puerto Rico and D.C. He will vote to do the...
Oh, is that where the 4 senators are coming from?
Well, they have to vote. Yeah, they'll give statehood, He will vote to support the 13 Supreme Court justices.
Hillary's laughing at all this, Ben.
That's what you're supporting. That's what you're voting for. So you really need to, think twice and overcome your opposition to Paxton.
Right. Now, in that...
Think of him as an R and not a Paxton.
People that are interested, they should look at that Fox News poll about Texas, because it's a big blockbuster, set of data. And buried in there, Ben, is the theory that Paxton's problems are twice as bad as Tallarico's extremism. There's actually a sub poll down there, and so the problem now is that people are hung up on Paxton's problems. Okay, and that's I don't want to.
Well, but it's the media focus right now,
right.
And again, Tallarico's the only one talking.
Right, and Tallarico's extremism is known but not considered to be as bad as by a 2-to-1 ratio. Now, what that means is the independents are breaking for Tallarico, And when you look at the numbers, the Democrats are either voting for Tallarico or they literally say nothing. There are Republicans, of course, voting for Paxton and some for Tallarico.
Hey, Craig, do we still have those two wacky Tallarico clips I pulled out already? We had them on clips.
Well,
these were like we'll play them after the break, but these were like the two of all the ones they've been playing. These are the two that I think are, kind of hard for him to get past. And there was one here within the last week or two, Paul, where he talked about how he became a Christian and learned how to become a Christian.
Yeah, they've been.
I don't want to say
that
pastor, but Christian.
Well, we've got time because Eric's not here, but Ben, we
based on a Muslim prophet.
Ben, we've got a great interview coming up here from Kevin Gamache, who is the Associate Chancellor of Texas A&M, the Chief Research Security Officer, who testified in my Higher Education Committee on Tuesday. And we are talking about the attempts at stealing all of our intellectual property at universities and health science centers. And Ben, without guessing, who do you think the lion's share of the thefts belong to?
China and Iran, probably.
It is
North Korea also.
Well, China, but the number will astonish you. So let's take a break.
We just had a cyber attack earlier today on a lot of the water infrastructure in Minnesota. They're trying to identify the source, but it may be Iranian.
It may be Iranian? Well, actually, that's what Kevin said might be a source, but we're going to get him on because, and you can go to my Facebook post at Team Betancourt. You can see the interaction that we had with Kevin, as well as...
Yeah, we can also, folks, you can go to ksevradio.com on Facebook, on Twitter, and on YouTube if you want. Also, it's on Rumble right now. So,
Rumble.
If you're having some problems driving around the car, just use your cell phone.
Right.
And you can do that.
Well, we got an interview with the Chief Security Officer of the Texas A&M System next. You won't want to miss it. Stay tuned. The three Amigos will be back after this on The Voice of...
For On the Money with your host and CEO of Allied Wealth Texas, Ryan Wheelis, who can help you live your richest life possible during your retirement years. That's each Sunday at 9 a.m. right here on AM 700 KSEV.
Hi, y'all. It's Kathy from Baker Mortgage. With all the scary stuff we've been through, it's still true that timing is everything, and the time to buy is now. But don't go looking without a solid pre-approval in hand. And this includes an application and a detailed discussion about property taxes. If you didn't have the talk, about property taxes, you really don't know what you're pre-approved for. That should make you wonder what else they may have left out. Mortgages are personal. Let's face it, we're dealing with your home and your money, and it doesn't get much more personal than that. When it's the largest transaction that most people will ever be involved in, imagine having someone on your side looking out after you. What a concept. We audit your closing statement to make sure you're not paying for things that you're not supposed to. Do you think your big bank's going to do that? Probably not. For all of your mortgage needs, call us at Baker Mortgage. I promise you'll be glad you did. We're at 281-313-MOVE or go directly to bakermortgage.com.
Equal housing lender. License number 263213.
This is Kevin O'Hara with O'Hara & Company Real Estate. At O'Hara & Company Real Estate, we believe in God, family, and country. In the past 50 years, people have been trying to remove all three of those from our thinking. Fight for what you believe in and protect your freedoms before they're all taken away. Don't let anyone infringe on your rights. If you need a real estate company, call O'Hara & Company Real Estate, 281-373-3393, or look us up on the web at oharare.com. I'm Kevin O'Hara. God bless America, and God bless Texas.
Be a Planner Show host Nathan Ross wants to remind you, please consider all the syndication terms of your private real estate partnership. By understanding the syndication math, Nathan can help you assess the benefits of ownership. Visit beaplanner.com or tune in each Sunday at 7 a.m. for the Be a Planner Show with Nathan Ross, CPA, on KSEV.
Where we go in life matters, and what we do matters, and we know that taking the wrong road won't produce the best outcomes. Hi, I'm Kathy with Baker Mortgage. and we want you to take the right path when it comes to your mortgage. You know, we live in a world of information overload, but always consider the source. And these are not generally going to be from your big bank or a random offer that comes across your screen. Remember, you're always going to get a better deal on one that you go looking for than one that comes looking for you. You need to deal with somebody who gives a you-know-what, whether or not you're happy in the end. At Baker Mortgage, we do it right. We haven't been around for 68 years because we're lucky. We don't sell CDs, insurance, or anything else. We just provide a great mortgage experience. Isn't that what you're looking for? Call us at Baker Mortgage. I promise you'll be glad you did. We're at 281-313-MOVE or go directly to bakermortgage.com.
Equal housing lender. License number 263213.
Got a question or comment for the Amigos? Call now. 281-558-5738. That's 281-558-5738.
Yeah, you've got the tax man with the three amigos here on the Voice of Texas. Got the soul man, the judge is out, so Professor Collins is running the show at 281-558-5738. Get your calls into him. And as promised, we've got the Chief Security Officer of Texas A&M University, Kevin Gamache, on the phone with us. Kevin, thanks for joining us on the Voice of Texas.
You're most welcome.
Well, Kevin, you'll be happy to know we have your mugshot up, right? Okay.
Well,
right.
yes.
Along with ours, okay, on our I guess on our casting at this point in time, and Kevin, and also with Trey and Tam, some really good folks came down and testified at my higher education committee hearing about really the threats of the theft of intellectual property across the institutions of higher learning in the state, general academic institutions, healthcare institutions, and you're the head of effectively of the research council that's trying to block it. So, Kevin, what say you, Mr. Chairman, about how bad of a problem is this?
It's a significant issue, and if I could back up to kind of frame what's happening. When you look at what the purpose of a research university is, it's to advance the state of knowledge and to create that intellectual property. And, there are several things that have allowed us as academic institutions in the United States to be the best in the world. And those things are our openness, our willingness to embrace international collaboration, transparency, reciprocity. All of those things have made our research enterprise the best in the world. But for the last 2 decades, at least, we've had adversaries that have methodically co-opted every one of those strengths to the point that our greatest strengths have now become our biggest vulnerabilities, and that's the challenge we face. Our openness is being taken advantage of. Foreign adversaries, China in particular, are using international collaboration to get access to our labs and our intellectual property. And it's a tough situation because we are trying to address an adversary that very often is part of what we do in our labs every day. So it is a challenge.
And Kevin, this is where it's really uniquely a challenge because you've got China, who is our largest trading partner, as well as an absolute adversary on this issue. Because if they can, either by internet, by assets, whatever, steal intellectual property, especially before that is published and secured. They get years of free research for literally nothing, and obviously it's China is the number one problem, but you do have incursions from others, Russians, Iranian, etc. But you laid out a statistic that was simply eye-popping about what the pressurization from China in this area with a number of 92%. Why don't you explain to the folks what that means?
Yeah, that was just based upon our experience within the Texas A&M system over the past decade, that in terms of the volume of issues that we are dealing with, 9 out of 10 of those issues are coming from a single country. And when you look at other data sources, whether it be NIH or NSF, or when I talk to my peers at other institutions, that is pretty consistent, that 90% of the issues by volume are coming from a single country.
Hey, Kevin, Ben Strusan, thanks for joining us on The Voice of Texas. So just to recap for our audience, you are responsible for providing data security for the Texas A&M University System and preventing outside parties from hacking proprietary research data that Texas A&M has. That's basically a short explanation of your job. Not gated security, but security of our processes and procedures that protect a $1.6 billion research enterprise that is the Texas A&M University System.
He's also head of the Research Council, Ben, of all the academic institutions and healthcare institutions.
And so what you're saying is 92% of the cyber attacks that you are experiencing are coming from one country whose name begins with the letter C.
It's not attacks. It's, I think, attempts at theft, right,
yeah,
Kevin? Is the best way to describe it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Attempts at theft.
And to be clear, we have a cyber team that does that. That's not part of my office. We work closely with them. But just in terms of visiting scholars or co-authored publications, foreign travel. Collectively, we review several thousand individual cases in a month, and the volume of all of those things collectively, 90% of it has to deal with China.
And is there any target that stands out? In other words, are they interested in research on agricultural seeds? Are they interested in research on rocket fuel? I mean, what is it? Is there anything you can tell us about the targets of the intellectual property theft?
Sure, it's broad, and China publishes a number of documents. China 2025 is one of them. They publish a 5-year plan. And they identify what their technology needs are in those documents, and there's a direct correlation between what's in those documents and the kind of activity we see across our universities and state agencies. So it runs the gamut from agriculture to hypersonics to you name it.
Hypersonic wind tunnels research. And Kevin, we had Trey actually, who was part of the panel, and also Tam was from Rice. And it's not just the research institutions, even though the classically, as you would say, general academic institutions, these healthcare institutions are getting hammered with these attacks too. And this is MD Anderson cancer, Ben.
Yeah.
Because, look, if somebody could steal a cure to cancer, wow, what's that worth? Okay. I mean, the amount of, and I asked this in the committee, the amount of intellectual property that they're trying to protect in Texas alone is over $100 billion. Kevin, do you have an estimate of how much? And just one researcher that gets co-opted at, if it ever happened at MD Anderson, or they get a file dumped on them about how to have a, cure to COVID or whatever else, cancer, that's enormous amount of money. I mean, you could be looking at $1 trillion steal here. Am I underestimating it?
The number that I've heard quoted from the FBI is $600 billion a year.
Wow. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. Well, I guess it's cheaper to steal than it is to try to, reverse engineer.
It's also faster.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to that point, we're talking about intellectual property. Very often it's information or products that have not even risen to that level of intellectual property yet. A lot of it is just basic research, but when you think about it, if they can get access to the basic research that we've done, they can skip a whole step in the research process, take our basic research and move on to the applications. So, they just leapfrog the process by doing that. So it's not just things that have already been developed to the point that they are intellectual property from a legal standpoint. It's they're casting a very wide net.
Okay, and we had this discussion because of House Bill 127. The author, who's my counterpart, Terry Wilson, who is the higher education chair in the House, he's the one that wrote the bill, and basically, Kevin, tell the folks. Well, I don't want to give away the farm so that somebody knows a new technique on how you're catching all this, but give everybody the basics of what the council's trying to do, the success you've had so far. And obviously the fact that we're all having to up our game to keep up with this onslaught, because this is cyber theft, this is intel personal assets, this is trying to snare people, their information when they're on a trip. I mean, there's a lot of spycraft involved in all this.
That's right. If I was to characterize broadly what we're trying to do with the Higher Education Research Security Council, and that council is comprised of my counterparts at the other 6 Texas University systems.
UT, Texas Tech, U of H, right, UNT, right, everybody, Texas State.
And then the 5 big private research universities in Texas, and then our either medical or health science counterparts as well. So there's 17 members on the council, and what we are trying to do in essence is to create a culture of research security, so that everybody in the enterprise is working towards the same goal. And we're doing that by creating training. We're doing that by creating policy solutions that can be shared across Texas higher education. We are doing it by creating best practices that have been proven at individual universities, but sharing them more widely. We are really trying to pull out all the stops to create that culture, to put the processes and procedures in place across Texas, and to put up our best defense against what is really a retractable adversary.
Right, which is, 92% China. And last question, so without, naming names, obviously, but you've had some stops already. You've been able to turn some of this back, some of the already by these best practices and culture of, research security already?
That's correct.
And enough to where do you think that China notices that you're around now? Do they know you guys are there?
There's no doubt about that. And what they are doing is adapting their methodology, so we have to be as agile as they are and continue to adapt as well.
Well, that's what will be your your motto, because you've got to continue to adapt. So thanks so much, Kevin, for joining us. That's Kevin Gamache, who is the Associate Chancellor at Texas A&M University System on the security side himself, but also the chair of the 17-member higher education panel that we've got on research security in the state. So, Kevin, thanks for joining us. And if you've got big developments like that we can talk about, we'll have you back.
All right. Sounds great.
Thanks, Kevin.
All right. Thanks, Kevin, for the update. I know listeners want to know because China, they're always out there. They're always looking.
Yeah. And your job is about to get a lot harder with the new AI models, or so I hear.
Yeah, all right. We'll see. We'll have Kevin back on that one. All right. Let's take a break, pay a few bills, and see what's going on next here on The Voice of Texas.
Right back on The Voice of Texas.
Yep.
The Amigos on The Voice of Texas.
Plumbing emergencies never happen at a convenient time. Nix Plumbing offers free estimates and free second opinions. Call Nix Plumbing and Sewer Services, 713-868-9907, or visit us on the web, nixplumbing.com.
NPL 38548.
This is Kevin O'Hara with O'Hara & Company Real Estate and O'Hara Homes. I'm going to pose some questions that you might want to research. Why was JFK assassinated? Did we really land on the moon? Is the Earth really a globe? And is it the size they tell us it is? Did 9/11 happen the way we were told? Are pharmaceutical companies really there to cure diseases? Who are doctors trained by? Did God create everything on earth that we need to stay healthy? Is fluoride in our water really helping us? What are those long trails of clouds left by airplanes, and what's in them? Did all the astronauts die in the Space Shuttle Challenger explosion? And is Elvis really dead? I search answers for everything. And if you're searching for a real estate company, give O'Hara Company Real Estate a call at 281-373-3393. Again, that's 281-373-3393, or look us up on the web at oharare.com. I have a special guest with me, my granddaughter, Bailey.
God bless America, God bless Texas, and God bless my pop.
Thank you so much for your radio show. I listen to you all the time, and I find it of great value.
Jim, that means so much to me. I never dreamed when I started doing this 22 years later I'd still be on the air with fine folks like yourself.
Well, you may not get a lot of people calling in, but I'm sure there's lots and lots of people listening because your advice is very good.
That's awesome to hear. Thank you.
The Backyard Bay Radio Show every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. here on AM 700 KSEV, the Voice of Texas. If you're looking for the best generator when it comes to powering your home when in need, then join Jim Cloud for the Checkapro A&A Gen Pro Show every Thursday at 1 p.m. here on AM 700 KSEV, the Voice of Texas.
Offices located 1 Sugar Creek Center, Sugar Land, Texas.
Thinking of buying a home? It's important to start off with a solid pre-approval. Hi, I'm Kathy Baker from Baker Mortgage. Yes, we ask a lot of questions, but that's because we're not going to give you a pre-approval that's going to blow up as you're trying to cross the finish line. What's figured in there for property taxes? If it didn't come up, you really don't know what you're pre-approved for. That should make you wonder what else they may have left out. At Baker Mortgage, we get it right. We haven't been around for 60 years because we're lucky. Yes, we have wholesale rates, 80-10-10s, and all kinds of programs, but in the end, it's really about taking good care of people, and they continue to come back and send their kids, their friends, and sometimes their parents. Whether you're buying, building, or refinancing, call us at Baker Mortgage. We're at 281-313-6683. That's 281-313-MOVE or directly at bakermortgage.com.
Equal housing lender. License 263213.
Got a question or comment for the Amigos? Call now. 281-558-5738. That's 281-558-5738.
This is...
Whose bump music is this?
I don't know. It's cool. I don't know.
I like it.
Maybe it will be Professor Collins' bump music, okay?
Maybe it's AI.
Kinda cool. Well, Ben, we're back on KSEV 700 AM here with the three amigos. That was the judge's break. He's out on the left coast, west coast. We don't know when he's going to call in. We know he's running around Universal Studios somewhere.
Probably having a blast, yeah.
And, we're having like a cyber attack on our phones.
That
Ben.
was kind of interesting. As soon as we got done talking about China and cyber attacks, we started getting all these weird flashing lights.
China.
It's almost as if somebody overseas was listening to
and they're
us.
trying to get into our phone lines, Ben.
Yeah.
All right,
was it something we said?
I would assume.
I would say give us a call at 281-558-5738, but don't bother right now because I'm not sure it'll work. But okay. So we're
Ben,
fixing our phones.
Fixing our phones. All right, Ben. So take it.
Yeah. So Paul, as you know, oh, good. We got the phones working.
Okay, we're back.
Wonderful.
Okay, put the calls in quick to
281-558-5738 or pound KSEV for our Verizon callers.
281-558-5738. 281-558-KSEV or pound KSEV. It's free for those Verizon callers.
Yeah.
Get some calls in so we can see if the board looks like it's working.
And if you're like to listen to the show, anywhere in the world, you can listen. You can go to KSEVradio.com on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, or YouTube, or Facebook, or Rumble, and you can listen live streaming.
No, and I'm surprised.
It's actually very cool. You've seen our live streaming, right?
Yeah, live stream. We're doing it right now. I tell you, what's really interesting is, think about it. We were blown away, and you can see it at Team Betancourt, and about the 92% by volume of these thefts are China. And he actually, I think Russia was number 2, Iran was number 3. It's like, wow. 92%. And the idea, Craig or Ben, that we're sitting there, the media saying, oh, it's not happening, it's less than expected. It's huge. It's a monster problem.
Right.
Okay.
And then as I was trying to, elicit a comment from Kevin, and I'm sure it was a little long-winded, but with the AI use of AI, there are AI models out there that have successfully hacked. Basically, all they do is look for back doors.
Right. Well, in fact, wasn't there like a test done?
Yeah.
Right?
The model,
3.
they put it in a sandbox, what's called a sandbox, which is basically not plugged into the internet. And the AI found a way into the internet and hacked the developer.
Now, 2 of them did. Let's see. What's the one the Pentagon was not going to use?
OpenAI.
They found it. I think ChatGPT found it, right? Now, there was Anthropic. Right, Anthropic was the one. But there was one that didn't quite get there. I forget what. But these are AI are effectively writing code about AI hacks.
Right, which kind of leads us into what I wanted to talk about next.
Well, great. Talk about it.
Data center issue that's cropping up in rural parts of Texas. And clearly a lot of landowners and ranchers are concerned. I don't know if you saw that interview that Sid Miller, the agricultural commissioner, gave on the local 11 affiliate KHOU here in Houston yesterday.
Well, I don't know who he gave that, but I can tell you he went up and did a press conference, and he's actually working. The group that he's now fronting is a Democrat group, but this shows you that it's touching on all ends.
Right. And we're going to get to the political controversy and the whole issue of data centers, but Sid is, and I've agreed with him some over the years, but he and Abbott are not friends. They've been enemies, and Abbott, I think, is the one that.
Hold on.
Yeah,
that's right. Let's acknowledge a ringing bell.
Yeah, and Sid lost the Republican primary,
right? With the Trump's endorsement last minute,
right?
But one of the few people that actually lost with a Trump endorsement in the Republican primary, anywhere in the country,
right? And that was to an Abbott-backed candidate, the honey guy.
Nate,
what's his name?
Right.
Nate, the honey
Nature's
man.
Nate.
Yeah, Nature's Nate. We had him on. We interviewed him. And so a lot of what Sid is complaining about comes across as sort of, I lost in a Republican primary. I'm going to kick the people on my way out the door. Now he's couching it in terms of trying to defend ranchers and, rural Texans. And I'm not saying that they don't have a right to be concerned. They absolutely do have a right to be concerned, and it's got to be addressed. But, consider the fact that he's taken up arms now.
Taking up arms.
Against his fellow Republicans after he's lost a Republican primary. So with that disclosure being said, let's move on to the whole issue of data centers and what's real and what's not real about the controversy. We have a lot of, farmers and ranchers and people who live in rural communities that are concerned that the data centers that are being built, and presumably they're going to be, close to 100, if not more, built in Texas, that they are going to drive up electricity costs, and they are going to use a lot of water in order to cool the data centers. Now, on the water and the power aspects of it, I thought that this was going to be addressed, or had been addressed by a combination of federal action, which Trump has already initiated, and what Abbott's already done.
Right.
Okay.
Abbott's
and if the
guideline.
legislature at some point needs to kick in January, by all means, get involved, But, to me, the two issues are, bring your own power when you come, which is going to be build a natural gas, turbine, get a generation facility going, or assuming you can get the turbines, of course, and or you can use a modular reactor, reactor. You can use that, and when it comes to water, you're using a closed loop water system like a radiator now.
Right.
In the construction.
Now, let me give a quick backup, and then we'll take calls and get to a break on it. Okay, first off, we've got 335 active data centers in Texas right now.
And most of them are the conventional ones, not necessarily the AI ones.
No, I'm not talking about hyperscale. Now, out of those and the 248 that are proposed, only about 135 are actually asking for a tax exemption. Now,
I was going to bring up the tax. Go ahead. That's a big issue too.
Now,
by the way, I'll tell you, I'm not a big fan of tax exemptions across the board. But
I can tell you this: that there's no reason to exempt the electricity sales tax for what they use. That's got to come out for sure.
Yeah.
Now, folks, what I'm holding up my phone. Everything you use on this phone is an application in the cloud. And the issue is, I think people have not realized that the cloud does not exist somewhere in the atmosphere, even though Elon's talking about putting them up in data centers in space. They exist in these data centers. So when you talk about banning all of them everywhere, which we have legislators talking about banning all data centers.
And Tallarico's trying to use this as a wedge issue to try to attract Republicans.
Well, he's got more of a plan that's more like Abbott's. It's
it is more
Gina
like
and Osa that's running against Abbott that wants to, I think, ban them all. Anyway,
right.
So there's a lot of granularity here. So let's do this. Let's get your calls in, 281-558-5738, 281-558 KSEV or pound KSEV. We'll take a break and take some calls and go into this more in depth after we pay a few bills next here on The Voice of Texas.
You're listening to the Amigos on The Voice of Texas.
Finding a reputable business shouldn't require luck or chance. But how can you tell who you can trust? Always look for the sign of a better business and find a better business anytime at bbb.org.
This is Shannon Bream. Join me for Fox News Sunday as we sit down with a diverse and dynamic group of guests featuring interviews with political, business, and public affairs newsmakers from the U.S. and abroad. All part of the Sunday political block from Fox News Radio. Fox News Sunday, every Sunday.
Shannon has all the big news stories of the week. Don't miss it. Fox News Sunday with Shannon Bream, 10 a.m. Sunday mornings, The Voice of Texas.
What if you could invest in real estate for pennies on the dollar? Find out how this Saturday at 2 p.m. on the Check a Pro radio show, when tax lien certificate expert Ted Thomas reveals one of America's best-kept investment secrets. Tune in this Saturday at 2 p.m. Plumbing emergencies never happen at a convenient time. Usually they happen on the weekends, holidays, or while you're away on vacation. I'm Richard Sod.
president of Nick's Plumbing. When you find yourself facing a plumbing emergency, call the licensed and experienced professionals at Nick's Plumbing and Sewer Services. Nick's Plumbing has been Houston's first choice for all your plumbing needs since 1979. Our experts can take your most difficult plumbing issues and fix them fast, fix them right, and usually for less than you'd expect. Nick's Plumbing and Sewer Services is the right choice for any plumbing job, from a leaky faucet, whole house repipe, or a complete sewer line replacement. You can count on Nick's Plumbing to do the job right. With over 40 years in business and over 150,000 satisfied customers, Nick's wants to be your plumbing company. Nick's Plumbing offers free estimates and free second opinions. Call Nick's Plumbing and Sewer Services, 713-868-9907, or visit us on the web, nicksplumbing.com.
NPL 38548.
Call Nick's Plumbing today. We're on the way.
Hey, Eric. Oh, no. Paul.
What?
Hey, Paul.
What, I have to be Eric?
I forgot.
For a commercial?
I forgot he wasn't here, or maybe it was just wishful thinking on my part. You see what I have on?
A jacket?
No, this little
Oh, this
coverall
neoprene? Oh, you mean the Texans?
Yeah, you see that?
And why,
You know,
is there football approaching?
training camp
Oh, my.
is opening.
Is it a sport?
Oh, absolutely. It is
That's
the only sport. And, well, what do you think of when you think about football?
Well, when you show a steer, I think beef.
That's right.
And beef, and I think grill.
And you think,
and I think
cool,
grill.
comfortable weather, fall is in the air.
I
right?
think our good friend Russell.
Russell Metzler at Gas Product Services. That's right. Yeah, give him a call. He can come out. He can install that beautiful gas grill, and you can be in business in about an hour and a half and be outside and be ready for the fall cooking, Fallapalooza, Meatapalooza, and all the barbecualooza.
Carnivore activities.
That's right, all the carnival activities, folks. I'm telling you, he's got everything you need. Fall's coming up. Don't let this hot, humid weather fool you. We got some great weather coming up in about, 3 or 4 months?
Yeah, well, I was going to say, Ben, like October maybe?
Yeah,
What are you
yeah,
talking here?
Maybe.
Okay,
That's right. But you got to get ready for it,
Okay.
folks. So give him a call, 281-798-8006, or check out his products online at gasproductservices.com.
Got a question or comment for the Amigos? Call now. 281-558-5738. That's 281-558-5738.
Take it, man. Okay, Ben, take it.
And welcome back
That's right.
to the Voice of Texas. Thanks for joining us on a Friday drive home afternoon with the three amigos, Ben the Soul Man, the Strew with the View Streusand. On the right, you got the tax man, Paul Betancourt at the helm, the liberal lefty judge, nowhere to be found. Well, actually to be found somewhere on the left coast today. Oh, by the way, I'm doing What's Your Point on Sunday.
Oh, you're doing What's Your Point?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is Gary doing it?
I have no idea. Last time I was there, it was Wayne D. and me and Bill King and
Holly?
I'm trying to think who else.
Paul Castro?
Oh, Holly. Holly was there,
Holly
and
Hansen?
Castro. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. We got to get Holly on. We hadn't had her on in a long
we
time.
do need to call her. Okay, so
she shows up on Chris X's show all the time.
She does?
Yeah.
Okay.
But and I saw where the Lena and the county whatever are trying to conduct an investigation into the ICE shooting, and they want to out the names of the ICE agents. They want to publish the names of the ICE agents.
Yeah, well, that's actually
involved
Sean
in the
Tier.
shooting.
I don't think Lena has any capability of investigating anything.
Well, they're urging them on,
she has mono, and she's on a very reduced schedule.
How can it be more reduced than it was before?
That's right. Well, half of a small number is still a very small number. But she's on a.
But it's a fallacy, complete facade to believe that anything Sean Tier does is an independent investigation.
No, because
he's already tipped his hand on national television.
No, what did he say that even Eric reacted
Oh,
to?
yeah, we have that clip. We'll find it. But basically what he said was that he believes ICE agents were deliberately provoking an incident in order.
What was the legal medical term that he used.
I don't
It was
know.
like
It was-
not
he-
malice. It was like
he-
substantial or something like that. Right?
It was a setup to shoot somebody. Is what he was,
Right.
implying. Which forget credibility and independent investigation. I'm just
right.
glad the Texas Rangers are involved.
So you're going to get up at what time on Sunday morning?
I don't know. It takes me like 45 minutes to get there. So
dark 30.
Yeah, it's
Because
dark when I
don't they
leave.
go at 7 o'clock?
They
live?
do. Yeah, they do.
When
They do.
I used to do it, we used to try to go eat breakfast afterwards, and it's a long day when you get up at 5 a.m. on a weekend.
Didn't you do an interview with Grugan not too long ago?
I did. We talked about data centers, so you're going to be talking about data
I
centers.
know we are, because
And
I told Grugan, I said, are we going to talk about data centers?
And here's how it's going to be. It's going to be Senator Betancourt says this. Ben, your reaction. Okay.
I've never heard it before.
Yeah, right. I've never heard of him either.
Let me study it.
All right. We'll put a call into Pollen to see if he's on with you, too.
We got clips from Trump from his cabinet meeting earlier today. And let's see, we also have another clip. What was that from? Yeah, we got a great fight going in the WNBA.
We also got a great guest coming up, which is also Senator Phil King, who's been in all the hearings on data centers and everything else.
Is it
and electrical, you name it.
Is it Sophie Cunningham versus the coach of the Seattle store? Yeah, fans of Sophie. This is fascinating.
Well, this is, who knows what's going to happen to the WNBA. We'll find out about it next here on The Voice of Texas.
AM 700 KSEV, Tomball, Houston, and streaming.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. There's an apparent deal with Hamas to end the war in Gaza. At a cabinet meeting at Camp David today, President Trump tells reporters that the new agreement with Hamas is a great breakthrough, while it's certain to have its ups and downs.
We do have an understanding with Israel. Israel's very happy about it. Israel helped us. And they've been very good. They've been very good about it. Most people said that would be a deal that would be undoable. Now, will it go through its ups and downs? It's a very complex situation over there. The people are very complex and difficult.
Hamas also said that laying down its heavy weapons, which would come later in the process, was contingent on the creation of a Palestinian state, something Israel's current government adamantly rejects. Israel has not officially commented on the deal, which is part of a U.S.-brokered ceasefire announced last October. At least 18 people have died as thousands flee Morocco to Spanish territory at the border.
At least 18 migrants have died trying to reach the Spanish territory of Ceuta, where Spain has deployed its military after thousands breached the border with Morocco. Many of the deceased drowned, while others were killed in a stampede at Tarajal Beach. Video footage on Thursday showed throngs of people, mainly Moroccans, walking around the breakwaters onto local roads. Salat from Tetuan in Morocco told the AP,
"It's a bad life in Morocco. That's why we get swim into here."
A local official called the situation a serious humanitarian crisis. I'm Karen Shamas.
Another good day on Wall Street, with the Dow up by 276 points. The Nasdaq rose 251. With the S&P 500 advancing by 52, oil near $85 a barrel. More at townhall.com.
Hi, I'm Kirk Cameron. Christian Healthcare Ministries is not another health insurance policy. If you're tired of year-long contracts and pointless restrictions, CHM offers anytime enrollment on your schedule and at your convenience. With CHM, you're paying half the cost of a traditional health insurance plan. So that puts more money back into your budget for everyday needs. Plus, you'll have access to CHM's care solutions for virtual appointments, prescription savings, surgery support, and more. My family and I joined in 2018, and it's changed our lives for the better. We love paying way less while helping other believers afford their medical bills. Take the leap of faith and see why Christians across the nation are better with CHM.
Get started by calling 1-833-JOIN-CHM and use promo code WELLNESS for a 50% credit towards your first month. That's 1-833-JOIN-CHM and use promo code WELLNESS.
From KSEV, Here's political contributor Ben Strusand.
Most polling shows that Republicans are going to have a tough time winning majorities in both houses of Congress in November. Voters blame Trump for inflation and believe that many of the necessities they need to purchase have become unaffordable. 2 out of 3 voters don't believe that preventing Iran from building a nuclear weapon is worth the higher gas prices that they are paying. Voters never give a president credit for preventing bad things like a nuclear war from happening. President Trump should realize by now that the Islamic Republic will never agree to a deal that results in a Trump win. The mullahs read the polls and see the domestic political pressure to end the war. It's part of their strategy. We should stop chasing a bad deal. This does not mean that we should resume unlimited airstrikes, but rather targeted decapitation strikes against their leadership, as the Israelis used effectively. If Iranian leaders won't cut a deal, then let's get new ones. The real leverage we have against Iran is economic. We destroyed what Iran took decades to build. Their defense industrial base used to manufacture drones, missiles, and nuclear weapons. Inflation in Iran is running at 40%. The blockade collapsed the revenue stream used by the Revolutionary Guard Corps, their security services, and all the government infrastructure. If our blockade is allowed to continue and not stopped by Democrats and a few lame duck Republicans in Congress, we can eliminate the mullah's leverage over its people. We don't need regime change to pressure them into a better deal for us. Just perseverance. Intercepting what leaks out via Iran's shadow tanker fleet will speed the process. The best guess is this pressure will take 6 months to show results, right around the time of the elections. I'm Ben Strusand, and that's my view.
Ben Strusand, only on AM 700 KSEV.
Chris X here to tell you about Humble Amco Transmission and AC Specialists. People who know go to Amco. I personally trust Jay Streckfus and Humble Amco with all of my vehicle's needs. With complete car care, they'll take care of all of your auto needs as well. Always a free check engine light inspection, and tell them that Chris X sent you for a free engine scan. Call Jay today at 281-446-0862. That's 281-446-0862, or online at humbleamco.com.
One for each other and all for one. The three brave amigos are we.
Arriba, amigos.
Brother to brother and everyone. A brave amigo. And amigos forever will be.
That's right. It's Amigos Forever here on the Voice of Texas. Thanks for joining us on a hot summer Friday drive home afternoon. You got the tax man, El Senador Paul Betancourt at the helm, the soul man of the previous Struview, Ben Struzan, and the effervescent, ever-ready Judge Eric Andel is on the left coast. And AWOL currently in his assignment. We might hear from him this hour. Gish calls in to the Professor Collins, as in Craig, at 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV or pound KSEV. It's free for those Verizon callers. Ben, lot to talk about this hour.
Yeah, and before we leave the issue of data centers, because, I mean...
We're going to get back to it at 5:20 with Senator Phil King.
Okay, well, then I'll save it for then, because this was this Red River roll call up there where all the state leaders...
He knows about it because he lives up there.
All right, well...
We know the Red River's up there. We just don't know how far it is away. It's a long way from here.
All right, we'll get there. All right, so Trump had a cabinet meeting earlier today. I want to play this clip, so...
The cabinet... Were they listening to me? Because I know I was talking, Ben.
He was trumpeting this Gaza peace deal, which supposedly, Hamas is going to give up its weapons and Israel's going to withdraw to the borders before October 7th. Yeah, so, and then they ask him about Iran. So I'm going to go ahead and play it just to update everybody. This is only about 2 hours old.
As Hamas disarms as part of this plan, who do you see as taking possession of those weapons that they have? Does that go to the new government?
It's going to be the Board of Peace, mostly. It's going to be run by the Board. This Board of Peace has been it's led by some amazing people.
Also known as the bop.
On, Mr. President, you said they do have some capabilities left. Should Americans be prepared for these back and forth attacks to continue until Iran simply isn't able of striking back?
They'll get weaker. They'll get a little stronger, maybe not, but they'll get weaker, and then they peter out. Yeah, sure. I think so. It would be foolish to say no. You know, you always have to keep your guard up.
What is the status of talks? Who from the administration is talking to the Iranians?
Steve is talking. Jared, we have very good people. JD's involved, very strongly involved. We have great people talking. Marco's involved. Very good people. We're the best people. But they'll make a deal. As an example, we'll talk about nuclear. And we'll be in there talking about nuclear for 7 hours. I say, why do you need 7? You can take 10 minutes. You have 5 minutes. You should solve it. But 7 hours, and then they'll go out, and I'll say, they discussed nuclear. And they'll go out and they'll say, we never discussed nuclear. And I'll say, why? What did they say that? All they do is make me angry. You know, they just make me angry.
Sounds like Groundhog Day.
Yeah, it does, and it's over and over and over again. I think they're chasing the wind here. The regime, the mullahs, are not going to cut any kind of a deal that I believe Trump would accept before the election. It's not in their interest to do it. They want to apply maximum political pressure, and they read the polls here in the United States. They know the American people are against the war, and they want a resolution. And I also think that the most valuable weapon that we are using right now is the blockade, and we ought to tighten that blockade, prevent anything from going into and out of Iranian ports, shut down their shadow tanker fleet, starve them from revenues, prevent any revenues from going in. They will not be able to pay their the secret police, the IRGC. Once those people can't be paid, it's a whole different story.
Now,
and we can get much better terms.
Well, Ben, but what's been different about this is, let's talk about the Board of Peace. Of course, it's a little bit ironic.
I call it the BOP.
Yeah, the Board of Peace, is going to collect all the weapons down in Gaza, but somebody has to collect it. Now, one of the members of the Board of Police are the Saudis, okay? Now, the Saudis got a little active this last week because they have advanced weaponry, and they actually used it. Okay?
Yeah, well, so their other exit, other than the one that's being blockaded or stopped by Iranian missiles, is through the Red Sea. And, of course, the Houthis own a price piece of real estate on the Arabian Peninsula right there at the corner of the Red Sea, where they turn left and they go to Asia.
Right.
So, the Saudis are right there on the border with the Houthis, and I believe that the Saudis are never going to allow the Houthis to prevent them from moving those oil cargoes out there, and that they will invade. And I would anticipate that they will conduct a ground campaign if they have to. They don't want to, but they will do it if they have to.
Now, there was also a different action, Ben, where the Saudis did a strike in Iraq, okay?
Yeah, well, that's been actually probably going on sub rosa now for a long time.
Right, but now it's popped up to the surface. So explain a little of that, Ben.
Yeah, so you have the southern part of Iraq, 1/3 of the country are Shiite Muslims that are loyal to Iran and take orders from Iran. And so they've been engaged in strikes against the United States and against the U.S. allies like Saudi Arabia. And so the Saudis have decided that they've had enough, and the United States and the Saudis conducted joint air operations against those targets in order to suppress them. The big news, I thought, that was sort of underreported, or maybe people didn't understand the potential, was that the Iranians decided to fire over the Arabian Peninsula at the Suez Canal and hit targets just north, about 40 miles west of the Suez Canal, the opening of the Suez Canal in the Mediterranean, which is a whole new theater of operations, and it is a direct attack on Egypt.
Now, was my question, Ben, was that the Iranian, was that the Shiite auxiliary that fired it, because they're a lot closer?
We think it's the Iranians.
Oh, you would think it was the Iranians proper, right?
We think it was the IRGC.
So now we've got attacks down in at the end of the Red Sea. We've got attacks in the Gulf.
Opening of the Suez Canal.
Now, right. So all 3 points where oil gets out of the Middle East, the Iranians have basically played checkers and hit them. Now, did they hit anything when they went to the Suez? I think they hit somebody.
There was a ship that is stationary and anchored that was storing LNG, and that's the ship that got hit. There was one next to it that was fired upon also. So it was like a big floating storage facility.
So
for
it torched?
LNG.
Did it burn?
Not the whole thing. It was
Okay.
just damaged. But, I mean, the point is clear. They're trying to say, hey, we can reach all these different countries. People are insane if they think that, of course, the Iranians are insane. That's a part of the problem. Not insane. They're just a theology masquerading as a religion.
Right.
But their theology is leading them astray if they think they
about-
can attack their neighbors like the other fellow Arab states and not have any implications.
How about they're an oligarchy masquerading as a theocracy? They're really, they're really basically a crime outfit like the Chicago mob because everybody's got a piece of the action.
No, yeah, but the mob was motivated by money. This is a
well,
religious
no,
theocracy.
No, Ben. Right now, people don't realize that in Tehran, 60% of the real estate's now owned by who?
IRGC.
Right.
It's not just the real estate;
And
it's half the country,
companies.
the businesses,
and the
yeah.
business. So all
That's
the
why
cash
it's so
is flowing through.
That's why it's so important
the
to cut off their
revolutionary-
money.
Yeah, the
That's why the
Revolutionary Guard.
blockade is so effective. It just takes a long time.
Well, our next guest is actually Senator Phil King, who has been a stalwart member of the Texas Senate as well as the House. He's also visited Israel, probably the largest amount of any of my members. He's well tuned to this. We're going to have him on. We'll talk about what's going on in the Middle East with him because he's been there repeatedly. He's also very adept at the
He knows what's going on in Sherman, huh?
He knows what's going on in data centers, and we'll have
We're going to get a live report on the Red River roll call.
We're going to get a live report of what happened in business and commerce because he was also with me when we talked about this on the Finance Committee on Monday, and he's a member of my Higher Education Committee too. So lots to talk about with Senator King next. So let's take a break and get to him. And we'll pay a few bills here on the Voice of Texas. So give the professor a call, 281-558-5738. I just saw Steve Moore on there. It was actually on a panel at ALEC, which I with Senator King got me into, and that was good. But give us a call, 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV or pound KSEV is free for those Horizon callers. 3 Amigos will be back after this on the Voice of Texas.
After a hard rain, you can see them. The water stains on the ceiling or the dripping water from a recessed light. Now you start to get nervous because you know leaks can cause big problems.
Once the water enters the structure, the trouble starts. Water weakens rafters and beams over time. It soaks through drywall and damages the insulation in your home.
And Roland, don't forget about mold. It grows fast in our humidity and causes all kinds of health problems.
I'd really hate to see you spend thousands on expensive structural or drywall repairs or mold removal projects, especially when we can fix those leaks quickly at Tejas Roofing.
And most of our leak repairs are under $500. This is Deb and Roland Tejada from Tejas Roofing, your Houston roofing company. Call us when you first see that leak, 281-251-0304. See our work online at TejasRoofingandContracting.com. Tejas Roofing, 281-251-0304.
Hey y'all, it's Craig Collins. I wanted to let you know that my show airs every afternoon on KSEV from 6 to 7 p.m. I also wanted to encourage you to follow our social media pages. We are now live streaming most of our local content on KSEV Radio's YouTube, Rumble, and Twitter pages, as well as some of our select shows on KSEV Radio's Facebook page. Once again, please follow us at KSEV Radio on YouTube, Rumble, and X. And please follow me at Radio Craig C on X and on Facebook.
Hi, this is Michael Miller. Join me this weekend for the Backyard Bay radio program presented by Miller Pools and Texan Pools, now at our new time every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. And what we do here on the Backyard Bay radio program is talk about your backyard. And this time of year, wow, it's so hard not to just spend all your time out in the Backyard Bay. And I know sometimes you have questions That's why we do the Backyard Bay radio program, to get you good, solid answers to any kind of questions that you may have concerning your swimming pools, or I'm looking to build a new swimming pool. Join me this weekend for the Backyard Bay radio program, now at our new time, every Saturday morning at 9 a.m., right here on The Voice.
Start your mornings with the Chris Salcedo Show.
Let's go to New York, where David is standing by. Hello, David. Welcome to the Salcedo Show. What do you say?
I'm going to say Donald Trump was a backstabber, and you never call him out.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand what you said. Give me an example of a lie.
I don't know. It doesn't matter what.
David is just like the folks over there at CNN and at MSNBS. Blind hatred.
And one other thing with that jerk from New York, David. That's why I left New York. This guy's a real Mama Luke.
Oh.
7 to 9 a.m. Got a question or comment for the Amigos? Call now. 281-558-5738. That's 281-558-5738.
And that's what we do every day on The Voice of Texas. We tell you the facts and where your money goes, especially when the three Amigos rides into town. You've got the tax man, the soul man, and our third Amigo this afternoon is Senator Phil King. Hey, Phil, from Weatherford, Texas. How is it, Phil?
Always good. Always good. Glad to be here.
Well, glad to have you too, Phil. You saw, I think you were listening over the break. Let's start with Israel. Obviously, there's some announcement today from the president that apparently Hamas may have given up and decided to turn in their weapons to the Board of Peace. And more importantly, Phil, you've been over there so many times. I mean, you really lead Texas delegation after Texas delegation over there, and you've got quite a bit of contacts up in the Israeli government. You know, I know the consulate well, but you're actually on the ground in Israel. So what do you think about this? And obviously, we had the Iranians striking stationary targets off the Suez Canal. So let's start there, Phil.
Well, I guess, you know, the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. And
true.
Past behavior suggests that you can't rely on Hamas or Hezbollah or the Iranians or to ever keep any agreement they make, to follow through on what they say. So, you know, it's more than trust but verify. I think it's trust and really don't expect it to happen and be prepared to take the next step.
Yes, because the issues have been, intractable. But at some point in time, there's so little left of the infrastructure in the Gaza Strip that you would think that even in the most foolish view of it, they're literally going to be fighting over nothing but rubble piles if this continues. But so let's hope that.
Well, you look at Gaza. That's all it is at this point. Google in on Gaza. It's a rubble pile, and I hate to sound cynical, and I sure hope the president's right, and he's absolutely right for trying to negotiate a deal and push that as far as he can. But I just think at the end of the day, you're never going to be able to get an agreement that the Iranians stick with or their proxies.
All right. And Phil, you and I have been in hearings, it seems like all week. It's like I'm still kind of, wow, give me some
jet lag.
Yeah, jet lag, give me some sleep. All right. We started off with, data centers and finance. We went to higher education, which we actually had last hour, the discussion of the security attacks, 92% of them coming from China on even our Texas intellectual property. Then you went back to B&C and you did data centers and 765 kW, lines. So where do you want to start, Phil? It was quite a week for hearings up at the Texas Senate.
Well, the 765 lines are, we've been building transmission lines in Texas forever. The 765 are the biggest, tallest, most expensive ever, longest track it'll ever be. Probably at the first phase, about a $33 billion estimated project. today, the lieutenant governor and the chair of BNC, Senator Schwartner, both called for a stand down, stand still. We had 15 hours of hearings and had 206 property owners show up to testify. 205 of those were opposed to it. The biggest thing was that they showed a lot of problems in the process where we did not give landowners and other interested parties the voice they needed in that process before their land is taken away.
So Phil, these are like pre-right-of-way, hearings or processes that seem to not be
leading
substantial
up to eminent
enough.
domain.
Right.
They got to figure out the route. Once you determine the route, and they don't have the route figured out yet, so there's a lot of possible routes, so there are a lot of people possibly at risk. But it's the process you go through to determine the route, contact the landowners. Here's the property we're going to take from you. Then they get to enter in and appeal that or contest that. And the process just did not let everybody be heard. There were some points where it was form over substance. 800 property owners were summarily removed from being able to intervene and contest the taking of the land. The utilities weren't doing anything wrong. It's just clear the process is not set up right for this gigantic loop that'll go from Central Texas to West Texas and back. And we're just going to have to fix that process so it's fair to everybody.
Phil, and one more thing on this before I let Ben ask a question. The interesting part about this, so this was so this is ERCOT then and the process, right? Or the PUC? Which one? Okay.
It's the utility companies like an Encore, CenterPoint, AEP, but they're acting under. So Encore and the PUC say we need high lines, we need transmission lines. Those are the big ones to go from point A to point B. And if those are in CenterPoint's territory, then CenterPoint has to go out and try to build those. It's that process for where CenterPoint goes out and tries to work with the PUC and ERCOT to determining the best route, and then reaching out and working with those property owners to negotiate for how they're going through their property and give the property owners an opportunity to stop it. So it's kind of all the above, but the utilities are actually the ones that'll build the line.
Right. Now, these 765s carry about, what, 3 times the total, wattage, amperage, right, than the existing 300s?
The big ones you see going through Houston or wherever right now that are on those big lattice talls, 150 feet tall and 200 feet wide. These will be about 70 feet taller than that, 50 to 70 feet. And they carry the math's a little weird, but it works out being about 3 times the amount of electricity. So the good point is you're not going to have to go build 3 of those 345 big kV lattice projects, but you're still going to be building these really big ones, 200 feet wide right away, 170-something feet up in the air, and nobody wants to live by those or have them go through the middle of their property. A lot of it's not in my backyard. Type of deal.
Hey, Senator Ben Strusan, thanks for joining us on the Voice of Texas.
Hey,
Ben. So is this to carry, because this gets conflated with the whole data center issue sometimes, is this to carry power out to the West Texas, or is it to ferry power back from all the solar and wind back into Central Texas in order to, because we've had transmission line problems,
right,
and overload. We have a lot of power out there in the, in West Texas from these renewables, but obviously we have renewable
yes
issues.
And yes and no.
Okay, please
yes and yes and no.
Explain.
So West Texas, they call it the electrification of the Permian Basin. All those gas wells, the compressors, the fracking units, the things that push gas and crude up and down the pipelines, that's electricity driven. And it's growing so fast that they don't have enough electricity out there. So the first step was for the Permian Basin plan to build lines out to the Permian to take electricity out there for the Permian Basin,
right,
the oil and gas industry. But it's also when it can run both ways, and when wind and solar are heavy, it can also help bring electricity from the wind and solar facilities out there to Central Texas and the rest of the Texas. That's the Permian Basin part. That's the $33 billion first step. There's another big thing called the STEP that's 2 to 3 times as big, to be determined, and it will be kind of a loop around East Texas. And so the part we were hearing testimony on is the Permian Basin plan. That's now been, or at least it's been called for to be put on hold. The next step, which is right behind it, is the rest of the state. So it's to build a big loop all around Texas where we're using these 765s. You can move a lot of electricity any direction. And that's the big, big picture.
Right. Now, and because I think the public needs to know that I think only about 6% of the existing transmission lines are two-way in the state. So these 765s, by definition, will be two-way. So if we go to the Permian, we can actually bring back power too. Right, Phil? That's the
it is. Yes, that is correct. The 765s, it's AC current. It's going to run both directions. And so when they need it in West Texas, you can take it out there if they've got excess wind and solar. And that's one of the concerns. There's some that believe that this is really a wind and solar play to just get more wind and solar electricity into the marketplace. I don't think that's actually correct. In fact, I will tell you that I'm sure of this, that if we don't do something by this time next year, you've got a real possibility of having some rolling blackouts in West Texas, because think of electric lines like a traffic, like roads. And you get to intersections, and certain times of the day you got congestion and you can't get through, and it slows you down to 2 miles an hour. Same thing's happening. There's certain times of the day, and it's getting worse day by day, that not enough electricity is getting through the intersections to get it out to West Texas. There's congestion, and if we don't get some lines built or some power plants built in West Texas, then you're going to have rolling blackouts before you know it.
Well, if Phil, can you hold for a break so we can pay a few bills and come back?
You bet.
Okay.
You bet.
All right, let's do that. And because we're going to be talking about the power grid in the state with Senator Phil King. We've got data centers to cover, topic of his choice. So get your calls in 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV or pound KSEV. It's free for those Verizon callers. The three Amigos, a.k.a. without the judge, but with Senator King, will be back right after this on The Voice of Texas.
Tune in to the Ray Massey Reverse Mortgage Show each Friday at 1 p.m. and Saturdays at 3 p.m. with Treybo Mortgage. Or call Ray directly at 855-266-1600 or online at reversemortgages4texans.com.
At O'Hare & Company Real Estate, we believe there are people in our country and other countries that are trying to chip away at our freedom. We are taking a stand against the tyranny that is happening and want to protect what our veterans and forefathers have fought and died for. Texans are independent thinkers, self-reliant, and bold. If you want a real estate company that has a backbone, give us a call at 281-373-3393. Again, that's 281-373-3393, or look us up on the web at o'harare.com. This is Kevin O'Hara with O'Hare & Company Real Estate. Our country's founding fathers drafted a document that is the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. To secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their powers from the consent of the governed. My friends at O'Hare & Company Real Estate, we believe we're at a precipice in time where we must take back our country. We must stand up for our freedoms or lose them forever. Please don't sit idle and let it slip away. Don't let anyone force you to do something you choose not to. As JFK said, if not us, who? If not now, when? If you're looking to buy or sell real estate, give O'Hare & Company Real Estate a call at 281-373-3393, 281-373-3393, or look us up on the web at o'harare.com. I'm Kevin O'Hara. God bless America, and God bless Texas.
Checo Pro Joe here. My guest this week will be Cody Johnson from Garage Door Doctor. For all of your garage door needs, contact Garage Door Doctor at 281-343-3632.
Join Joe every Saturday at 1 o'clock here on AM 700 KSEV, the voice of Texas.
When it comes to garage doors, no one knows more than the doctor. Garage Door Doctor.
We got a call late New Year's Eve. A father with big plans for his family the next day said his garage door spring just snapped. He couldn't get his car out and wouldn't be able to get his family to where they needed to go. He felt stuck and alone. So we showed up fast with the right spring and the right parts to fix it right. We didn't talk about the price. We didn't wait till the morning. We fixed it right then. Because at Garage Door Doctor, it's never just about the job. It's about the person behind it. The dad, the veteran, the grandpa, the neighbor. Hi, I'm Tommy Mello, owner of Garage Door Doctor. When you need help, we're the ones that show up. Call Garage Door Doctor today or schedule online at garagedoordoctor.biz. We fix garage doors fast with quality parts designed to last a lifetime because we're proud to serve the people who rely on us.
When it comes to garage doors, no one knows more than the doctor. Garage Door Doctor.
Got a question or comment for the Amigos? Call now. 281-558-5738. That's 281-558-5738.
All right, and we're back on the Three Amigos, taking the bump music here from Eric. Actually, it's Professor Craig, so give him a call at 281-558-5738. Back live here on 700 AM, the Three Amigos. Phil, we can see you. I don't know if you can see us, but you're looking good. Very West Texas oriented, I can tell, in Weatherford. Good analysis of the 765 kW lines that we just went through. And Phil, you've been following not only the power situation, but also the AI data center for a long time, because you were actually the author of Senate Bill 6 that we passed in 2025 that said if there's a data center or something that's consuming too much electricity, you actually were the first in the country, I think, Phil, to have a bill that said, hey, the grid can, basically knock a crypto plant off of the grid for a while. True, Phil?
By the Republicans in the legislature. I'll say that Texas did pass the first framework for how to deal with all the strain that these data centers put on your electric grid. We were the first one to pass it. It's kind of becoming model legislation for the country. The feds are looking at it, and it's not perfect, and we've got some more work to do, but it's SB 6, and I think it's keeping us from being in a real frenzy right now.
Right, and Phil, obviously, look, we, so much of this goes back to literally China, okay? Because we're dealing with, Chinese incursions in our security, on our intellectual property. We've got, real concerns nationally. I know that President Trump is going to repeatedly talked about we need some AI data center work there because as I think I mentioned, Phil, at a really good panel that we had out at ALEC, you've got a Russian recruit on the battlefield, Ben. It's got he or she has a 20 to 35 minute lifetime effectiveness, AKA they're going to get shot or blown up by Ukrainian drones. And Phil, I don't even know if I told you this story. After I got off the panel, a Ukrainian rep actually approached me and said, "Do you want us to go? You want to go see our drone center? Okay, where we?" And I'm going, maybe not. Okay, but I'd love to visit it virtually. Okay, so So lots of talk coast to coast about this. So what say you, Phil?
Well, look. So data centers can bring a lot of wonderful things to Texas. And first off, yes, the Russians, the Chinese, they don't want them in Texas. They don't want them in the United States. They want to be able to manage, control, hold hostage, have all that data at their fingertips. They also want to lead in AI because they know that's the industrial revolution that's upon us.
They're also funding some of the online opposition right now.
Oh, no question. Certainly the consensus, no question. And that said, they do put a lot of strain on our electric power grid. They put a lot of They have some water issues. They're huge complexes. They may be 15 or 16 Amazon distribution center size tilt wall buildings on a piece of property. And so there's a lot of not in my backyard, a lot of siding issues. But we're getting all the electricity issues worked through really well. The water issues, I think that's knocked down to where now they're only going to use about, 80 to 100 residential homes used in a year.
Right.
And on top of that, the noise issues taken care of. We're working through all the problems. Now, not in my backyard, that's always an issue no matter what's going on. We've got to think about siding and setbacks and that, but we want those things in Texas. You always want your state to be in front of whatever the next big deal is. And this is at least the combustion engine. It's almost certainly the industrial revolution. And it's going to be here, and we want Texas in the very front of it for jobs, for the economy.
Right.
Let me tell one quick story, Paul, because I told you this. In terms of tax dollars, when they come into your community, they pay such giant tax dollars, and they don't put any strain on your services. In other words, they don't put kids in your school. They don't put trucks on your roads. But yet, I've got one little county. I'll give you an example. 3,800 people. The total property taxes they collect all year, schools, everything's less than $10 million. That data center that's under construction now is going to write them a check for $181 million a year. Nobody in that county is probably ever going to pay a property tax again.
No, and actually, on the property tax side, Phil, that means that there's a dramatic drop, almost as much as that you shared with that over 65, constituent that was paying $930, and because of all the homestead exemptions, Ben, we passed, he's down to $9.50. We almost got him to zero. Yeah. Okay. So there's a big property tax wave when it comes in that's positive, and we've got 335 active centers. And I think that on the ALEC panel that I did, that was surprised even the Texas delegation. Nobody knew that we had that many already in existence.
Yeah. Hey, Senator, we also have the agricultural commissioner who lost his Republican primary and will no longer be
the ag
commissioner on January 1st, claiming on local television networks that the data centers don't employ anybody, they don't create any jobs. I know that that's not the case, but I'm sure you've looked at this issue, probably have a thought or two about the employment opportunities that come along with this.
Look,
for people in your Senate district.
Well, I can tell you there's 5,000 construction jobs involved in that one project in that one county I was telling you about.
One county, right.
Yeah, now they'll go, what's a 3 or 4 year construction project, and then they're gone. You're right. That center is going to only employ about 250 million people, so it's not like building a big manufacturing center. But it's also not putting any strain on your government services. Taking up a lot of space, but they're building it on a huge ranch in an unpopulated area. If you're next door to it, you probably don't want it next door to you. I get that completely. I had a go-kart track open almost next door to my house one time. There's always siding issues. Yeah, fortunately, they went out of business.
I was going to say, did they bust through the siding of your house or just bust through the barbed wire on the property?
Trust me, it was a real issue for a while at the King household, but it's all worked out now.
Okay.
So, but they're not giant employers, but they support every job that's out there. And all the employers in Texas are saying, we want to get off our local servers. We want to put all our information on the cloud. That's how our business is working for the future. And you want these things near your businesses. Particularly think about surgical robotics, manufacturing robotics, the new Texas Stock Exchange. The distance from the data center to the user is very important. So that's important for Texas.
There's a lot of secondary effects.
Every job.
Secondary employment
they support
effects.
Every job.
In fact, Ben, but what you're touching on is called latency, that the farther you get away from the actual center when you have an application, you'll see issues. And that's why having them here, these 335 are important. And everything we use to fly here, your phone, it's all on the cloud already. And importantly, I would say, Ben, 75 to 85% of the applications running in business and government are already on the cloud. And we're really talking about expanding those activities. And there is an AI expansion coming. But to your bottom line point, the next 10 years, this is the single biggest economic expansion. The president is right when he says it's liquid gold, because this is the big driver in the economy right now by any measurement I understand. Ben?
Yeah, I don't think I would agree with anything the governor of New York ever did or said, and she just banned data centers. So I think very carefully about following in their footsteps. It would be a huge mistake.
Well, AOC and Bernie Sanders too calling for their ban. I mean, if you've got to think about
and Sid Miller,
who is saying get rid of these. That'll tell you something right there.
And by the way, and we haven't touched the politics of this, but there's a lot of people that, will come up to a hearing and basically scream, ban them all. Okay. Now, the polling is very interesting. After a big explosion in the Republican primary, the numbers are about 42 for, 44 against. But in the Democrat primary, Democrats, it's off the charts. It's a net 55. 71% of Texas Democrats want to basically ban them, and only 16% want to support them. And that's because the Trumpster says they were good, so Bernie says they're not, AOC says they're not, Kathy Hochul bans them. So now this is an issue that drives the socialist left. True?
Oh, absolutely. And now, don't get me wrong. There are issues we're having to work through, like electricity, water, all those things. But we're working through those, and give us a little bit of time. And I think we're going to look back 10 years from now and be really excited this happened. I think we're going to work through the problems, and Texas is going to lead not just the nation, but I think the world in the economic benefits that come from the data centers. And issues to work through, but
right, because
we'll get it.
Because there's two portions of this opposition. There's the opposition that's reticent, and they have issues that they want to be heard and work through. And then you've just got a pure political opposition that's now being spearheaded by the Democrats that is just absolutely no.
Yeah, but that's part of the Trump derangement syndrome. If Trump's for it, they're against it. So, I mean, and it's splitting out in the Senate race kind of like that also. I mean, it seems like.
Well, Phil, we give you the last word on any issue you want to, but there's no better listener in the Texas Senate than Senator Phil King, I'll tell you that. And because you have a great demeanor, you're great to work with. So give you anything we haven't touched you want to cover right now?
No, I've got a very important date with two granddaughters to go see the new Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, go for it.
All right.
Starts at 6:30, so we're heading out the door.
All right, that means your theme song is going to be the new Spider-Man one whenever you come on, because actually you're wiry enough to actually qualify as with a strength to weight ratio as a Spider-Man. As a former police, I should say, what was your rank, Phil? What did you serve as?
I was a captain when I left.
As a All right. You now have been drafted as the Spider-Man of the three Amigos. Congratulations.
Thank you, Senator.
I'll wear it with honor. Thanks.
I agree.
Bye-bye.
Oh, here we go. We've actually got your theme music on the way out. All right, Senator Phil King, thanks so much. Have a great weekend.
Hi, this is Louis Flory. You've been relying on Ability Tree experts for decades to protect and maintain the valuable trees on your property. You can continue to rely on the same professional services. So call Ability Tree experts at 281-441-4179 today.
Do you need money? Want to lower your monthly debt? Are you thinking about a cash-out refinance? Hi, it's Kathy from Baker Mortgage. A cash-out refinance can get you back in your comfort zone, and that's what it's all about. A recent client who closed with us had his payment go up about $300, but his monthly outgo was being reduced by $1,200, so giving him a net positive cash flow of $900. It's not about adding debt, but restructuring it in a way that makes sense, and this math totally makes sense. And please don't sweat it if your interest rate is going up a little or if you're extending the term. I can show you by taking a small amount of what you're saving monthly and applying it towards your mortgage, you're going to pay it off just as quickly and you'll be way ahead in the money game, which is where we all want to be, right? Remember, we want to help you, but we're not going to help you over a cliff. Baker Mortgage, 281-313-MOVE, or go directly to bakermortgage.com.
Equal housing lender. License number 263213.
This message reaches 1 million people or more every week. Spreading the gospel is more than one voice speaking to 1 million. It is and must continue to be 1 million voices, each speaking, pointing them to our friend Jesus.
The Lutheran Hour with Dr. Michael Ziegler.
Tune in to the Lutheran Hour every Sunday morning at 6:30 here on AM 700 KSEV and streaming online at ksevradio.com.
Checo Pro Joe here. Join me this Saturday at 11 a.m. when Andrew from A&A Gem Pro Generators discusses whole home standby generators and the peace of mind they bring. That's this Saturday at 11, right here on AM 700 KSEV, the voice of Texas.
If you have roof problems, you can sure see them when it rains. This is Deb Tejada from Tejas Roofing. If you see a leak, call me immediately, 281-251-0304. I'll send over the Tejas Roof Repair truck.
That truck has everything our experienced crew needs to fix your roof, right then and there.
The Tejas Roofing crew has been working together fixing leaky roofs for 15 years.
It's not a pretty truck, but it has everything we need to get the job done. I kind of like the way it looks.
Most roofing repairs cost less than $500. Why? Because we find the cause of the leak and repair that leak. We won't try to sell you services you don't need.
And we'll fix it right away because everything we need is in our truck.
Don't put off fixing a leaky roof. Call me at Tejas Roofing and I'll send over the truck. 281-251-0304. When you think of roofing repairs or a new roof, think Tejas Roofing, your Houston roofing company. 281-251-0304. That's Tejas Roofing, 281-251-0304.
Got a question or comment for the Amigos? Call now. 281-558-5738. That's 281-558-5738.
And welcome back to the Voice of Texas. Thanks for joining us on a Friday drive home afternoon. Three Amigos, been the Soul Man, the Strew with the View, Strew Sand. On the right, you got the Tax Man, Paul Betancourt at the helm. The liberal lefty, nowhere to be found, which is where he belongs. And
oh, come on!
You can listen.
Golly, boy.
Zinger. Thank you. And don't forget to check us out online, our streaming show at ksevradio.com, Three Amigos, or you can always catch a rerun of our show like a podcast on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. I like
ksevradio.com.
Yeah, ksevradio.com. I usually do Twitter or YouTube. Those are the two that, and it really adds a good dimension to watch the show. It's
I do
cool.
The streaming at ksevradio.com. Very important.
And if you're having a problem, you can
in
your
listen
car,
anywhere in the state.
And if you're driving to Nebraska for whatever, you can listen to us online on X or Twitter. So let's go to the phones. We got a lot of callers.
All right, we got a full board here. We'll start with John. You're up first. Come on, John. You're on the Voice of Texas.
Yes, Uncle Paul. I'm an electrical engineer. I graduated from A&M and been a professional engineer for 50 years. And I have been retired for a little bit. But a couple of things here is that you said, some of the lines, power only went one way. Power goes both ways. The power goes to the load from the generation.
Sure.
And what we have is the transmission system is a network. The 765 kV line they want to build, or lines, that the line charging on those lines is really pretty high. And you really can't use those any kind of blackout. And then what you end up having to do is tie that 765 to the 345 network. And you're going to have to do that with auto transformers. And there's not very many places that make a 765 to 345 kV
Step down. Is that what it is? Step down transformer?
Yeah. Well, it's a auto transformer. It's a special transformer, And because what you're doing is when you tie the two systems together, the angle between the two systems has to snap in, and you have to do that with an
You're talking about the
auto-transformer.
sine wave angle between the two grids, effectively,
Well,
right?
yes,
Or the
yes.
two
There's-
transmission lines. They have to be. You
the
have to get 'em
two
right.
that You end up having to get, and so consequently, you end up. Now, this would really be over.
Hey, by the way,
the
don't do
government.
no. Hey, John, just one quick deal. What I've been told is that only about 6% of our lines can handle a two-way flow, and 94% is one-way transmission. True or false?
I'm not sure of the situation they're talking about, because what happens is that I think that's not quite 100% true all the time.
Could you do me a favor, John? Could you check it out and call back next week? Okay, because we're going to continue this, and we'll have more time. I got 2 more callers I got to get to.
Yeah,
so,
no. That's the reason why I just want to touch 1 or 2 points. I'll call next week.
Yeah, call next week about that 94%, 6% two-way transmission. I'd love only two-way. I'd love to hear about that. One.
There's a story out this afternoon. Texas Power Grid under watch as feds take emergency action. I'm sure that's associated with the demand and high heat.
Well, it has to do with the demand and also the generation. And
because the two have to keep up. Yeah, right. And you got to have supply. Hey, John, we got to run.
Well, one of the
okay, John, no, we got to run. Okay, so let's talk about it next week, because we'll see whether we've got any brownouts. All right, Ken, from Texas City, let's have a talk. Come on, Ken.
Yeah, the Israelis and Ukrainians presented intel to Trump showing that the Russians are helping kill American soldiers. The best Donnie can do is say, well, Vlad told me he's not going to do that. Does Trump love Vlad more than he loves our soldiers? Sounds like he does.
So this is this fake Ken?
Fake Ken.
Fake Ken from Fake City, Texas City. Okay, thanks. Thanks. You're being silly, Ken. I told you if you want to have a normal conversation. I've talked to him on a number of occasions.
Just call in. We know we know it's
yeah. We know what you're gonna do. Just come up with
what
a better
stick,
man.
We lost him.
Yeah, better stick, Ken. You got to come up with a little better stick.
We lost Jimmy X. So your last clip of the day.
Yeah. So I did want to get to this story. Sophie Cunningham, and help me out here, Craig, because I'm going to kind of paraphrase it real quick. Sophie Cunningham is a WNBA player. She plays with Caitlin Clark.
Well, she used to.
No, she's on the Indiana
she's
Fever.
She's still with Caitlin Clark, right?
I thought Caitlin was injured or departing.
Well, I mean,
Caitlin might be departing. That could be true. But they're on the Indiana Fever together now.
Right now. Okay. So she, for getting a minute, all of her defense of Caitlin Clark and the fact that she's always complaining about, they're beating up on her because they don't like her and all the other reasons we know. So she's does not believe that transgender men should play basketball with women.
Absolutely right. Let's give Sophie a ringing bell.
Right. And so the bulk of America agrees with her based on the polling. All right. So there is another WNBA team, the Seattle Storm, which is owned by 2 women who both are lesbian. And they are the owners of this basketball team. And there are a couple of fans when the Indiana Fever played the Seattle Storm. There are a couple of fans of Sophie Cunningham that showed up along basically courtside, if I'm not mistaken. And they were in their teens, 15, 16, they were young. They weren't over 18. And they had some signs saying, "Thank you, Sophie, for speaking out, fans of Sophie." And this is what happened. This is what the owner of the Seattle Storm, the lesbian owner of the women's basketball team, Seattle Storm, did to these kids.
She's a minor. Security!
Garbage! Take the shots out! Take the shots out!
All right. right. So
I'm kind of gathering that the owners told him to leave.
Well, basically came over, dropped a bunch of expletives on a bunch of kids, didn't like their signs, told them they were, a screaming, yelling match. And this is the owner of a basketball team going up to a couple of fans who are supporting one of their players. They like this player, but obviously the owner, who's lesbian, doesn't like the message one of the other team's players is delivering, which is, please, we should not be, there's a women's sport, we should not have transgender men playing in the WNBA. And so this lady, this owner, got a 5-game suspension. As far as I'm concerned, it's not enough. They probably ought to, hang her by her balls. Oh, never mind. Oops.
Is there like a button? And Craig, are we supposed to hit a button? I don't know whether to say, or I'm not sure which button I'm supposed to hit.
But it's a Friday afternoon.
Yes.
I've been saving that one, boy.
Yeah, he's been tired all week. Ben's inner, came out. All right.
So this is as much NBA talk as we've had this year. There's been more NBA talk.
We did
because it's been social commentary, right?
Caitlin Clark didn't have. There's no reason all the attacks on her. They were vicious, vile, and stupid. And this owner is vicious, vile, and stupid to be attacking, people with an opinion
their kids
about one of their stars that happens to be right. You don't want transgender men in basketball, golf, volleyball, anything else. I mean, good gosh, we've been fighting this battle since Lowell Colkers passed that bill with Lieutenant Governor Patrick back in 2017.
Yeah.
And we're winning, and these people need to get off of a loser position. Nobody in the country wants
anyway, 5-game suspension wasn't enough as far as I'm concerned.
Let's make it 50, make it more.
Rest of the season, I think.
Let's take her out. Maybe we should buy her with some of this liquid gold that we have, and just buy her out.
Or you can just go back to my original idea.
Yeah, that's right. Well, let's go ahead, and you can catch that original idea
on KSEVradio.com.
And we're going to be rebroadcasting the second hour when, Craig? Which time? We don't
Whenever
know.
we do it.
Sometime this weekend. All right. Good night. God bless.
AM 700 KSEV, Tomball, Houston, and streaming online.
Music Hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. At his Friday cabinet meeting at Camp David, President Trump discussed the Iran war and the massive cyber attack in Minnesota.
At his cabinet meeting at Camp David, after previously insisting Iran has been completely defeated militarily, the president acknowledged he expects military action will continue for some time. The president